One thing about the Meisner technique is that it is world-class training. It's not an acting class, it's not a workshop, it's not an improv, it's not an intensive. There's nothing wrong with those whatsoever. They allow the student to put your tiptoes in the shallow end, right? Doesn't require much of a commitment. 6 weeks, couple months, X amount of money, X amount of time, come, don't come, get the notes, etc. It tends to be looser, less of a commitment. And that's great. It's wonderful. It's a perfect way for some people to begin, right? But the real problem I see out there is so many actors, that's how they approach their entire foundation. It's like, I always say, like you're trying to fly to the moon, right? And you build the spaceship along the way. Every time you realize you got a problem, you go take a workshop or a class and you build that side panel and you patch that and plug that hole and boom, 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 boom. And it's one way of going about it. It's just not the way I would go about it, not something this competitive. And Sandy certainly had tremendous respect for how competitive this is and the craft of acting. And I do too. So one thing I wanted to talk about today was, for those of you out there that are trying to find a teacher of the Meisner technique. Because again, there's gazillions now. And I am positive most every single one of them have wonderful intentions. They're trying to do the best they can. And so zero criticism whatsoever. Zero. But I can also tell you that things get very diluted. We have it all over our website. It says pure, legitimate, authentic. Those are not words I throw around casually. That's the last conversation I had with Sandy shortly before he passed. I promised him that once I established my career first and foremost as an actor, I would then establish a school in his name, and I would present his teachings as pure and legitimate and as authentic as possible. And so, what I'd like to talk about today is one of those elements, because I'll interview students and they'll say, you mean I can't miss class? Now, again, pre-COVID, or now with COVID, if a student has any symptoms, they can't come to class. A hint of it. But let's just, all things being equal. No, you can't miss class. But how wonderful would it be to be in an environment where you wouldn't want to miss class? Because every single class, not only are you working, but you're growing. The Meisner technique, when presented properly, should never miss class. It's a brick-by-brick, step-by-step process. Now, again, most people are not taking you on the 2-year journey and presenting the technique the way that Sandy had wanted it presented. It's diluted. It's a shorter version. It's done. I interview students that took Meisner somewhere and they're receiving second-year advanced exercises within the first few months, and it just is what it is. What are you gonna do? I'm not concerned whatsoever with what anyone else does. I'm just here to try to do my best to carry on Sandy's teachings as pure and legitimate and authentic as possible, and to help you if you're interested in doing the same. So the teaching that I want to talk about today that Sandy was so strict about is not being late for class, not missing class. Why? Well, he didn't want us to be late because, first of all, class started right away, and growing and learning started right away. I mean, like if your class is at 3:30, we're starting at 3:30. Boom, on the button. Here we go. And it's a 3-hour class. And, the whole afternoon you're learning, not only from your own work, but your classmates. So if you were late, who knows what you're going to be missing. And then, though, just as importantly, Sandy had no time for casual. How competitive this profession was. He wanted us to be elite with our word. He wanted us to be pros, professional dreamers. And that's what happens. That's one of the reasons why he didn't want us to ever be late. And number 2, missing class. Well, you can't miss class. First of all, you're screwing your partner. You're screwing yourself. You're screwing the integrity of the class and the room. You're diluting it. You are. By you missing, who knows what you missed that would have benefited you. And just as importantly, what I love about what our students say is, I wouldn't want to miss, ever. So that's why Sandy was so strict with those 2 policies. You can't miss class, you can't be late. He once said, how can you possibly be late for your dream? And I couldn't agree more. So there you go. Keep the questions coming. Any questions you have, teachers or students of the Meisner Technique throughout the world, whoever's watching this, you got questions, you send them. We'll do our best to either answer them in the thread or upload a video that teaches off it, okay?